the Namibian nation, who passed away in the Namibian capital this past Saturday, slightly before midnight. Of course, it was the 8th of February 2025. Now, over the next couple of days and weeks, as we mourn our first head of state, we will be engaging those who worked alongside him. We will be engaging those whom he led. We will be engaging various Namibians from all walks of life to talk to us about their fondest memories of him, to talk to us about his contribution, certainly to the liberation of the country, but very importantly, what role he played as the main implementer of constitutionalism in this country. We do know, although the late President Hage Geingob was the chairperson of the Constituent Assembly, who had the very mammoth task of drafting, of crafting, of curating the supreme law of the land in about 80 days from the end of 1989 until the 9th of February, that is 1990, that as the president not only of the party, but as the inaugural president of this country, had the responsibility of implementing the fundamentals of the supreme law of the land. Now, aged 95, President Nujoma passed away this past weekend, and we have seen tributes come from across the globe acknowledging the role that he's played as a revolutionary. We will also be speaking during the course of this morning to our reporters based across the land and breadth of this republic to talk to us about the sentiments on the ground, to help us get a sense of how Namibians are mourning, how Namibians are reflecting, how Namibians are indeed remembering. In between those engagements, we'll also walk you through some of the biographic highlights of Dr. Sam Shafishuna Nujoma. What we do know is that he was born, of course, on the 12th day of May 1929 at a Tuna village in the Umsati region. He, amongst others, started his formal schooling at the age of 10 back in 1939. He completed his Standard 6, what we know these days as Grade 8, at the Okahau Finnish Mission School in 1946, whereafter he moved to the coastal town of Walvis Bay. At the age of 17, he started his very first job in a general store. President Nujoma in Walvis Bay got exposed to the world of politics after meeting soldiers from, amongst others, Argentina, Norway, and other parts of Europe, and who were posted there during World War II. And that is what gave rise to his political activism. That is how he started getting more involved in what will ultimately culminate in the liberation of Namibia. Now, in the vicinity of 1949, President Nujoma moved to the Namibian capital, where he worked for the South African Railways, while at the same time attending night school at St. Barnabas Anglican Church School in what was known at the time as Windhoek's old location. On the eve of his 27th birthday, that's on the 6th of May 1956, President Nujoma married Madame Ovamboland Kashimune, our first lady, and they had 4 children. Those are some snippets of the biographic details of the late President Sam Shafishuna Nujoma, and we will be bringing you more of that during the course of the next couple of days, the next couple of weeks, as Namibia mourns a revolutionary leader who saw to it that freedom comes to the land of the brave. We'll take a short break, after which we will start engaging our colleagues in the respective regions to speak to us about the sentiments on the ground. Keep it locked here on your home channel. Welcome back, Namibia. You're tuned into a special broadcast reflecting on the life and legacy of founding President Dr. Sam Shafishuna Nujoma. Joining us this morning, one of our colleagues, Faith Sankwasa, to talk to us about the sentiments on the ground. Good morning, Faith, and welcome to this special broadcast.
Thank you, Denver. Good morning. Good morning to the nation also.
Very well, Faith. Now, you're stationed in Erongo in the Otjozondjupa region. Talk to us about the sentiments on the ground following the news of President Nujoma's passing.
Thank you so much, Denver. Yes, today seems to be a bit of a slow day, normal day. It's the official day of mourning, but I think people are going about their daily businesses. But if I to take you back from yesterday, quite a busy day that we had upon hearing the news, we headed to the founding president's farm at Tunda, about 33 kilometers south of Otavi. There was also nothing in terms of activities there that we observed what was happening in the north and in Windhoek, where mourners are coming in to pass their sympathies and condolences to the bereaved families. There was nothing like that at the Tunda farm. But we, however, did manage to track down his farm workers, including the general manager there. And most of this was what we learned from them is that they've been with the founding president, employed by the founding president for almost 30, with some going to 35, 36 years together with him. And they spoke really very fond of him and how much they'll miss him. So much
That's quite a long time. Faith, is there something particular that stood out from what you learned as far as their journey with him was concerned?
They said that the development that he brought at the Tunda farm, they spoke beautifully about how life is different at the Tunda farm compared to the villages, in terms that they are accessing medical health assistance at the clinic that was built by the foundation. They are waiting for the opening of the school, the primary school that the foundation is also currently constructing there. I understand it's just a bit of water pressure issues. That's why the school has not yet officially opened. And as soon as it's opened, it will now see that their kids are just 2 kilometers away from them, a walking distance from where they are accommodated at the founding president's farm. There's also an open market that is operating at the service station, also built by the foundation, and this is where most of them are employed. So the development there is what they are very appreciative of, saying that they no longer have to really go that far to Otavi or Erongo to access medical attention or, education and stuff also.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Faith.
And then we then proceeded back to Erongo at the base station. Here we engaged with the regional political leaders. This is including the governor, the chairperson of the region, and also then the SWAPO regional coordinator. And they also in studio mentioned that, let me take you, the founding father made this part of his permanent home, the region, because he was residing for some long periods of stay. If he wants to recuperate and stuff, he would be based at that farm. Yes. So there, and the governor also then mentioned today that Nujoma had an unwavering commitment to the empowerment of Namibians, and this was through education, and that he's very grateful that a lot of young people were funded by him to pursue studies. And this is where he thanks the leadership in Namibia, that Namibia boasts a strong cadre of professionals shaping the nation's future. Those ones that were funded under his bursary schemes. And then from the SWAPO side, they say that his legacy, the legacy that he leaves behind, they will forever cherish and treasure forever, because he believed that a nation should not be oppressed, and he's inspiring generations to rise, resist, and reclaim their dignity that they lost in the liberation struggles.
Faith, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Were there any specific emotions that you observed, both on the part of those you engage, but perhaps also on the way you did say earlier that today it appears to be quite a normal day, although yesterday had the intensity of the shock of the news that Namibians needed to absorb under those circumstances?
Yes. The one that was more distraught that we spoke to was the nurse yesterday at the clinic. Because she said that the founding father, before she took up employment at the clinic under the Ministry of Health and Social Services, the Nujoma family was part of people who commiserated with her when she lost her mother. So this, by her being employed at the clinic, she got closer and got to know the founding father so much that she would also treat him for these little minor ailments, checking of the BP, sugar levels and stuff, because these are services that is offered by the clinic that was handed over to the ministry. This is why there are 2 nurses stationed there. She was visibly distraught. There was it took a bit of time to get her to open up, because at times when you were recording, you had to let her calm down and then express of this love that she has of the founding president. Apart from that, you could see that it's a somber day. There's a somber mood all around. In fact, even in our offices, it's never easy to do death knocks and to get people to also really just talk. But yeah, they managed to talk, and that was the expression on the ground, the legacy that he leaves behind.
Faith, did you have a personal encounter with the late founding president? Did you ever get to interview him?
I did. I wish I could share the pictures that I posted on my WhatsApp status yesterday. I did have an encounter with him in 2022. During those, there was a chain of donations that was trickling through to the foundation from fellow Namibians, students that he funded who also set up a group, and then they would donate towards the construction of the school and the clinic. So in 2022, I didn't have, on that particular day where the regional leadership was visiting with the health minister, Dr. Shangula. They were donating something to the clinic and the school. I went with my son. My son was about 3 years old that time. And he had a flu. And the Denver were coming from the COVID, post-COVID. So it was just very tricky to come in contact with the founding father. And my son had to wear a mask. But as soon as we're taking pictures after having lunch with him, he decided to say that he wants to hold my son. And the bodyguards were saying, no, you cannot because the child is having flu. He said, no, let the child be. I want to hold the son, or I want to stand next to the son and take pictures with him. The Namibian children, I love. This is really what goes to show that this is why he set up a school for the Namibian child, especially the farm workers' kids. And he spoke fondly about it to say that as long as he's alive, there's no farm workers' child, especially at his area, that will not access education.
Faith, that is such a precious memory. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. We all have our work cut out for ourselves in service of the Namibian nation. Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we let you do exactly that?
It's going to be quite a bumpy, busy week. I don't know for the region. We are also still waiting to hear what the regional leadership is planning in terms of commemorating the founding father, the passing or the vigils that might be in the pipeline. We're just waiting for indication from that part. But as we go, we will try to engage also with the veterans that had an encounter with the founding president during the liberation struggle.
Very well. Lutumezi, thank you so much for your time, colleague, and thank you for the great work that you continue to do.
Thank you too, Denver.
Erongo-based NBC reporter Faith Sonkwasa. We are commemorating the life and legacy of the founding president and the father of the Namibian nation, Dr. Sam Shafishuna Nujoma, who passed away in the Namibian capital this past Saturday evening, the 8th of February 2025, at the age of 95. Now, earlier we shared with you that at the tender age of almost 27, President Nujoma married former First Lady Ovamboland Nujoma, and 3 years later, that's in 1959, alongside others, organized a resistance against the forcible removal of people from the old location to Katatura, an apartheid settlement. Apartheid forces, as a result of this, massacred 12 unarmed persons on the 10th of December in retaliation and President Nujoma was arrested under those circumstances. With a deep passion for politics and a yearning to see his people free from apartheid laws, President Nujoma resigned from South African Railways in 1957 at the age of 29 to devote his time to freeing Namibia from the colonial yoke. We will bring you more of his biography.
My dear wife, my dear children, my dear comrades, it is an honor for us to have this opportunity to meet. But an opportunity should always be for the future generation. We should not talk for our own interest. My interest, first and foremost, is the unity of SADC, Southern Africa Development Corporation, to become part of the African Union with the headquarters in Addis Ababa. This was formed by great leaders. Now, here in Namibia, we must play a role, very simple one, and that is God has given us this land. The harbor of Walvis Bay today, as we are sitting here, is the harbor of SADC. Why? Because all the shipping line normally travel from the United States of America, Canada, and the whole of Europe. Normally pass through here, go to Cape Town to deliver goods for South Africa. But as we are talking here, oil that makes the ship to move become expensive. The harbor of Walvis Bay is today the harbor of SADC and Africa as a whole. Now, it is therefore our duty and responsibility to make sure that every Namibia child attend the kindergarten, primary school, secondary school, and at the university level, in order for us to build a strong nation. We believe that a united people striving to achieve common good for all members of the society will always emerge victorious. I thank you.
Welcome back. That very characteristic voice of the founding president and the father of the Namibian nation, also expressing a seriousness around education for the Namibian child. We headed to the streets to gauge the take of some Namibians on the passing away of President Nujoma, and this is what some of you had to say.
My sincere condolence to our former First Lady, Nekuru Ovamboland, as well as the entire Nujoma family. As all know that Tatekulu, founding father, have been done everything well in Namibia, establishing many things in Namibia. So it is lefting a big impact in Namibia. Thank you very much.
The late president, the founding father, he passed away, so I should say to all the family, hard feelings, be good, and all Namibians, they know that the president was the founding father. 1990, 21st of March, was been swearing in as the first president of this country after South Africans. So what I can say is, it did some things that happens in country. We also lost our President Hagekingo. So rest in peace, and we love you.
Passing of our founding father, Dr. Sam Savushinan Nujoma, and we are very saddened about that. I just wanted to send out the condolences to our founding First Lady, Madam Ovamboland Nujoma, the children, and the entire nation. That's all I wanted to say. We are very saddened by the passing of our first president.
We are very sorry, we are grieving and feel the pain. The wife and kids that are left behind will stay in our hearts, and let it be a reminder to think about them all the time, as it was a legacy for us.
Good morning. I would just like to give my condolences to all Namibians for our founding father, the wife and the two sons. We are with you. We are with you in the prayers. We are praying for you. Be strong. All of us ahead of the passing away of our father. Thank you.
Although it saddens us, we must find solace and comfort in his passing. We need to accept that death is inevitable. We are sending hope and faith to his family.
President.
Good morning. I would like to wish the Nujoma family and the entire Namibia condolences for the passing of our founding president, Dr. Sam Nujoma. I would like to say the country must stay strong and let's continue the unity in Namibia. Thank you.
My condolences to the family of Dr. Sam Nujoma. I hope they have it and keep it on strong, because losing someone is not an easy thing, So that it's just to keep strong, yeah.
As a Namibian, and let me just say, let me wish the family the strength that they need, and they must know that we are all behind them. We are together. We are one person, one people, one Namibia, one nation. We are together.
This is a special tribute broadcast following the death of the founding president and the father of the Namibian nation this past Saturday, the 8th day of February 2025. And those were some of the sentiments of some of you expressed following the death of President Nujoma. Now, in a bit, we'll cross over to Studio 1, where Johnny Conjo is on standby with the news highlights at 11 o'clock. In the meantime, keep it locked here on your home channel as we continue to pay homage to the life and legacy of the late Dr. Nujoma.
What did you want? I wanted my belongings, which were stolen. They weren't your belongings, first of all. Your mother would be very disappointed.
She's hard up for money. She wants all of her money back.
She doesn't want to deal with you.
She'd leave the kids at home alone.
Absolutely not.
And
don't speak, stubborn.
Judge Judy.
What did you want?
I wanted my belongings, which were stolen.
They weren't your belongings, first of all. Your mother would be very disappointed.
She's hard up for money. She wants all of her money back.
She doesn't want to deal with you.
she'd leave the kids at home alone.
Absolutely not.
And
don't speak, stubborn.
Judge Judy.
As my man op die operasietafel moet sterf, dan sal ek jou met my eie hande uitmekaar skeer.
Wat gaan aan?
Wat het gebeur? Ami gaan verlam wees. Wat?
Moenie vir my lieg nie, Akief, moenie vir my lieg nie.
Kom ons gesels in my kantoor.
Is Ankel okay? Asof julle regtig opgee. Julle sit net hier en friet.
Ek wonder wat hy gedoen het dat die polisie ons oor by die skool kom haal.
Moenie die subject change nie. Ek het nie iemand hospitaal toe gestuur nie.
Seun.
Jy beter jou woorde baie mooi kies.
Wag.
Jy's onbestaan.
Very good morning and welcome to your news highlights right here on NBC. I'm Johnny Konja. Thank you so much for joining us. With the news of the death of the first president of Namibia, Dr. Sam Nujoma, NBC News team in the Otsholonjupa region spoke to the governor and some community members on his legacy and the memories they hold of him. Faith Sankwasa now joins us telephonically for an update. A very good morning, Faith. Thank you so much for joining us.
Telephone is on? Unless she's gone?
I'm not gone, I'm here.
She's on?
Faith, can you hear me? Faith, are you able to hear me? Well, we will be trying to establish that connection a bit later on, but of course we'll continue with more news on the late president, that is President Sam Nujoma. The Musati region is mourning its son of the soil, the late President Sam Nujoma. Young and old traditional leaders and politicians, as well as church leaders and their congregations, are paying their respects in remembrance of Nujoma at his parents' homestead of Etunda. Our reporter Ndapanda Shuya gives us an update.
He is our first president, and we have so much love and respect for him as we mourn his passing. We must mourn and should do it with praises, because our leader lived an exemplary life and he has done so much for all of us. May he rest in peace.
Fellow congregants, we should accept the departure of our beloved leader and one of the members of this church. This is where his assignment ends, as it was set by God. Let's praise him for his contributions to Namibia.
The SWAPO Party Politburo and a Central Committee member, Steve Census Ovambo, has called on the nation to be in mourning following the passing of founding President Dr. Sam Nujoma. Speaking on the passing of Dr. Nujoma, whom he described as the architect of the liberation struggle that led to the independence of Namibia, Ovambo said that Namibians should remember the liberation stalwart as a unifier.
Mourners and the entire nation, Namibia. It is well known by this time around that we have lost our hero, the technocrat, should I say, of this liberation struggle that we are enjoying today. A person that was an architect, a person that has walked all around the world to ensure that this country become independent. I should say, as we are mourning the death of a hero, we are given a message that we must unite, and unite for the purpose of having that prosperity. Our leader has passed on, and this is the person that can never be forgotten in Namibia. Namibian history can be never complete without his name. And I am so fortunate to be part of the ruling party and part of the steering committee of the ruling party today, enjoying the legacies while he was alive. Comrade Nujoma is one of the outstanding leaders of the world, and in particular in the African soil. Comrade Nujoma is one of the persons, and I must say, who took a very shorter period of time to wage his liberation struggle, which is not undermining the other liberation struggles, but he has started an organization and he has even waged the victory and become the first president of the Republic of Namibia. I was always saying, if a person of grade 8, standard 6 that time, can be having such a wonderful wisdom to wage a liberation struggle and then linked up to the international world for freedom, that person is a Moses for Namibia. He is our Moses, the person who have led the nation to the promised land. It's in human nature that some of us don't appreciate what he has done. But from the Karas region in particular, in South, we have witnessed that such a son of the soil has united people across the tribal lines, across political lines, and that we can also witness today that Namibia is one of the countries that enjoy peace, stability. And I'm praying the Lord that his soul be abundantly showered and that his soul remain always a memory for us to be united. Let Namibia unite, and at least at this point in time, where we are almost completing a calendar year while we are mourning the death of our third president, we are losing our founding father. Let this become the signs that Namibia must go back and do introspections. Why in February? And almost 5 days in a full calendar year, we lost the third president. So we must put together the puzzles to know what is the message. Namibia must unite. Namibia must unite.
Mr. Ovambo, how would you like the Namibians to remember the late Dr. Sam Nujoma?
It's very obvious that Namibia should remember Comrade Sam Nujoma in various ways. All of us, we have got our own way of remembering him. But Namibia must remember him as a unifier who was encouraged by the forebearers, the likes of the Hendrikford boys, Jacob Morenga. And almost in all his speeches, he always reflected about the forebearers and that he did not let the Namibian tree grow without the roots of those forefathers who have started to give him that wisdom.
With the passing of Dr. Sam Safishuna Nujoma on February 8, 2025, Africa bids farewell to its last surviving founding father of the Organization of African Unity. As the first president of Namibia from 1990 to 2005 and the leader of the country's independence struggle, Nujoma's death marks the end of an era of independence freedom fighters who helped shape modern Africa. Nujoma stood among Africa's greatest liberation leaders, joining the ranks of Kwame Nkrumah, the first president of Ghana, Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya, and Ahmed Sekou Toure of Guinea, among others, who led their nations to independence and established systems of governance. His leadership not only freed Namibia from South African rule in 1990, but also set the foundation for a stable democracy. For over 40 years, he guided SWAPO through the liberation war, diplomacy, and political transformation, ultimately handing over power peacefully to his successor, Hifikepunye Pohamba, in 2005.
I move in the name of our people to declare that Namibia is forever free, sovereign, and independent. I thank you.
Registered nurse who is stationed at a Tunda Farm Clinic, Josephina Namupala, has vowed to continue serving the health and education legacy of founding President Dr. Sam Safishuna Nujoma, who passed away earlier this week. Nujoma was instrumental in the establishment of the multi-million-dollar clinic built by the Tunda Farm Trust under the Sam Nujoma Foundation. The clinic was handed over to the Ministry of Health and Social Services in 2017 with the aim to help serve the farm population as well as anyone finding themselves in the vicinity. In a somber interview, a distraught sister, Nampala, expressed that working at the clinic brought her closer to Nujoma, who would come by every other day when visiting his farmhouse.
We've lost someone. Oh, we really do. Etunda will never be the same again. Every time he's having a mission to come to his farm, to Etunda, he will tell his police guards, we are going to... He gave them time, at which time, especially he used to come at 3 o'clock, we are going to the clinic, we go and look at the buildings of the school, and then we'll go to the service station. Tatekuru is a people's person. He was one of the people whom you have to make an appointment before you visit him at his house. But for us, we were children of the house.
Continuous highlights from beyond our borders. President Cyril Ramaphosa has sent his message of condolences to the people of Namibia on the passing of former President Sam Nujoma. SABC reports.
In a statement, President Ramaphosa said that as neighbors and compatriots, South Africa is united in grief with Namibians who have lost the leader of the Namibian revolution. He added that Nujoma is inseparable from South Africa's history of struggle and liberation. He further stated that Nujoma was an extraordinary freedom fighter who divided his revolutionary program between Namibia's own struggle against South African colonialism and the liberation of South Africa from apartheid. Now, President Ramaphosa said Namibia's attainment of independence from South Africa in 1990 ignited liberation fighters to fight for freedom in the country.
That concludes the news highlights at this hour. We will continue with our rolling broadcast on the death of founding President Sam Nujoma on NBC1. But of course, we'll also continue with more news at 1 o'clock right here on NBC.
Have you ever wondered how laws are crafted or how decisions that shape our nation are made? Well, Inside the Chambers has got you covered. Join us every Sunday for an electrifying ride through twists and turns of legislative development. From the lower house to the upper house, we bring you the highlights that matter.
Messages from the head of state, ministerial statements.
Stay informed, get engaged, and gain a better understanding of the processes that shape our democracy. Inside the Chambers, where the heartbeat of governance comes to life.
During this brief period, since our independence, we have been able to ensure peace within our borders, create confidence about the future among all Namibians, and set an agenda for reconstruction and democracy. All of this we have been able to do in spite of the recent past in Namibia characterized by conflict and bloodletting.
The Republic of Namibia has adopted a policy of mixed economy. That means we encourage joint ventures with our government and private sector. I have already signed an agreement with the OPEC in Washington when I was here 3 months ago. And in that, in fact, there is a guarantee now of the U.S. corporates as well as private investors to come and invest in Namibia. So the reason why we have adopted a policy of mixed economy, this would encourage us to create job opportunities to our people as well as to develop our economy with the participation of the private sector from overseas as well as national business concern. It is very important to produce adequate food for the population because we cannot afford to import foodstuffs from other countries. And second is water and rural development. Our country is a very dry country. It's always affected by droughts, and therefore we have to develop water canals and the pipeline from the Kunene and the Zambezi rivers into the interior of the country.
If you're just joining us, good morning to you and yours. You're watching a special broadcast paying homage to the life and legacy of the founding president and father of the Namibian nation, Dr. Sam Shafishuna Nujoma, who passed away at the age of 95 in the Namibian capital this past Saturday evening. We also would like to thank colleague Johnny Konja and the team in Studio One for bringing us the news highlights at 11. An insight that we saw President Nujoma speak about what mattered most at the advent of independence in this country, namely peace. He also spoke about the agenda that was set for reconstruction and reconciliation. Equally, he mentioned how important food security is and something that continues to be on the national agenda in light of Namibia being a drought-prone country. In that regard, he had also mentioned water and rural development as matters that were prioritized when he came into power as the first president of this democratic republic. Now, we spoke to our colleague based in Erongo in the Nujoma region, Faith Samkwasa, earlier to talk to us about the sentiments on the ground, and we continue to engage colleagues both within the length and breadth of this republic, but also those based elsewhere with a passion for Namibia. One such colleague is Mr. Wamundile Muyoba Chilinda. He's based in Zambia, and he has been passionate about Namibia for a good number of years, and was also here about a year ago following the death of President Hage Geingob, Namibia's third president, and covered that extensively. And he now engages us to talk to us about who he has been able to speak to in Zambia and what the sentiments are in that country that's also very closely linked to the liberation of Namibia. Good morning, colleague, and thank you so much for joining us for this special broadcast.
Good morning, and thank you, Denver, for having me, and good morning, Namibia.
As you would imagine, a challenging time for Namibia, but it's also an opportunity to reflect on the mammoth contribution to the country's liberation and also to the establishment of the rule of law and peace in this republic. But talk to us about what you believe the late President Sam Nujoma meant for your country as well.
Oh, all right. Thank you for that question. And to start with, you'll be aware Zambia got its independence in 1964. And then, according to our founding, the late Kenneth Town, that independence is meaningless if the rest of the neighboring countries remained colonized. And unlike our independence, the Namibians, under the leadership of President Sam Nujoma, actually physically fought for their independence, while for Zambia, to some extent, our forefathers and our to some extent literally negotiated for independence. I keep learning every day. A chance to interview Mr. This is the man who was a reporter in the 1970s when later Dr. Nujoma came to Zambia in the early 70s, around 1970, according to him. And his purpose of coming to Zambia was literally to use what was called the Zambia News Agency, because this agency had an exchange program with a lot of other international media organizations. So he came to Zambia, he walked some distances from Namibia to Zambia as an organization. Nobody actually thought this was a freedom fighter. And all he wanted was to be heard. Can you imagine that when he came into the
Colleague, are you there?
Sorry for that. And then he would come to Zana. Something went wrong with my device. Yeah, so come to Zana because he really wanted the Namibian. He wanted his message on Namibia to the rest of the world. He was accommodated by a close friend of him who he had met in Tanzania. And by that time, he had that Mr. Jerry had come here where he had gotten a talk with Bank. And this is the man that accommodated for so long until President Kaunda actually got him and provided accommodation and state security to him. So this is a man who really had a vision and was ready to sacrifice for the Namibian people.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Now, you've covered Namibia for a number of years. Talk to us about how that had come about.
Sorry, I missed that one. You may need to repeat the question.
You've covered Namibia and its affairs over a number of years. Please talk to us about how that had come about. Walk us through your journey with your neighboring country, Namibia.
All right. First of all, you may wish to know that I have roots in Namibia. Both of my parents have other families. My great-grandparents migrated from Namibia into Zambia for the sake of education. So we still have that attachment with Namibia. I still have a number of relatives across there. And growing up in an area called Sesheke, a border town with Katimamuli, those years, there was no access to Zambian television and Zambian radio stations, and we were following the events of Namibia. So it's been a long journey of the events of Namibia, and I've always dreamed of working with the NBC at some point. I remember, I think, when we used to do cultural events around Sesheke and Katima. There was a time Menesia and Unomei came to film our activities, and that for me was like the beginning of my interaction in NBC. I think I was only about 17 that time.
Still very young. Now, during some of these visits, did you have any interaction with founding President Sam Nujoma?
Not very close, to be honest. I always took advantage of every opportunity that I had to at least shake his hand and greet him. And not really that interaction, especially that when I became a journalist, he had retired. So I didn't really have much interaction with him. But the fact of the matter is that Dad was close to him. My father taught at a school called Payuk Camp in Kaoma, and that is just about 25 kilometers to Nyango, where most of the icons were staying in Kaoma. And from time to time,
colleague.
Go and visit Nyango, they go and deliver some cigarettes, whiskeys, and all that stuff. And so I know, and I knew that there was a close relationship between father and late Dr. Sam Nujoma, though I was very young that time.
Thank you so much, colleague, for sharing that with us.
So Dr. Njoma's name is a household name in this country.
Thank you very much, and we do look forward to welcoming you back to your country, to Namibia, when you will be covering some of the proceedings as they will unfold over the next couple of weeks. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your continued commitment to Namibia. Lutumezi.
Lutumezi, thank you very much, Denver.
Veteran Zambian journalist Wamundila Muyoba Chilinda talking to us about the impact that the founding president and father of the Namibian nation also had in his country, Zambia. We'll return after a brief break.
In the name of our people, to declare that Namibia is forever free, sovereign, and independent. I thank you.
Welcome back. We apologize for the intermittent poor sound quality. Now we have our colleague Sililo Muviana on the line all the way from Katima Mulilo in the Great Sambezi region. Muzile Twangi, colleague. Hande. Colleague, first things first, talk to us about where you were when the news of the death of our founding president reached you yesterday.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to say it is said. I was already going to bed at that time at around the 23:45, and later I saw a message on our phone and on our groups, NBC, announcing the death of the founding president. Yeah, and then we started seeing messages coming from different groups and from individuals, and looking at the status of other people, colleagues. We started seeing what was being posted there. That was the time, and I couldn't sleep up to around 3 o'clock that morning because we couldn't believe and what has happened. Even though, he has done enough for a lot for the country. So it was not easy for everyone to believe what we hear is what has happened.
Indeed, we hear you, colleague. What have been the sentiments on the ground in Katima Mulilo following this news?
Yeah, the sentiment on the ground is that as we look around, as we look in the streets, as we speak to people, everyone is celebrating the life of the founding president. Because most of these people are saying, as we know him, he's not someone who lived for his own, but he lived his life for the happiness of other people, for the freedom of other people, for other people's education, for Namibia's independence, as well as for the unity of Africa. So these are the sentiments that we get on the streets, and they are mourning the life of someone they call a hero, not only of Namibia, but a hero internationally in Africa, SADC, and the whole international community, because he wanted everyone to be free, and he wants everyone to unite.
Mourning is death, but celebrating is life. Have you been able to engage people such as the first citizen of your region to gauge their take on this development?
Can you come again?
Have you spoken to the governor of the Great Zambezi region? Have you spoken to other people within the region to gauge their take on this development?
Yeah, we are busy with the governor as we speak. We have an interview with him, with my other colleagues, but we have spoken to many people concerning the development of Namibia. As we are aware that at the independence, we were colonized. Namibia was colonized for so long, but after that whole period, the founding president had to come and lead a government and start things from scratch. It was not easy. A country that had a history of we were under South African apartheid, and starting afresh, starting or building a country from scratch, it was not easy. But through his persistence, we are seeing everything that we are seeing. We are seeing the development, especially infrastructural development, in different parts of the country without thinking of a particular region. But throughout, everyone is happy with what is. Most of the people that we have spoken to, that we have seen, are happy because Sam Nujoma did not live only for his tribe. He did not live only for a specific group of people, but he lived for everyone. So the development can be seen. The foundation that he laid in the country can be seen, despite that we have other people that have come after him. But all the foundation was laid by him.
You're a seasoned and veteran reporter, colleague. Did you have any interactions with the late founding president?
The line is very bad. If you could come back again.
Did you have any personal interactions with the late founding president, colleague?
Yeah, at several occasions in there, around 2005, 2006, and 2007, we had one-on-one with him at several occasions. We have covered him at different platforms and having interviews here and there when I was still working in Windhoek. He is one of these people who have love for education. In anything that he will say, he will never finish without calling on especially the youth to take their education seriously. He would not finish a meeting without calling all Namibians to maintain unity of purpose. As we know, his famous quote. He was always insisting that when people are united for a common purpose, they will always emerge victorious. And this statement, if people can sit and analyze it, it is a very, very big statement or a wide statement. So he will always encourage the young people to take their education seriously. He also came up with the issue of ensuring that the children, the Namibian child, gets education. He came up with this issue of ensuring that women are not left to suffer, especially when their husbands are no more or when their husbands are still there. He didn't want anyone to ill-treat women. So the issue of women, education, children, unity and development of the country was always at the core of anything that he needed. As a result, as we are all aware, he left this school that is under construction. He has all this hospital just to ensure that those children who are far away or whose parents are poor, as we may say, they get education because the education is brought closer to them. So he's one of these people who had love for this country, love for his own people, love for children, and love for everyone.
As we're starting to wrap up our conversation this morning, colleague, how can we as journalists best honor his legacy?
I could not hear you properly. I don't know what the problem is. Maybe if you could come again.
No problem, colleague. How can we as journalists best honor Dr. Nujoma's legacy?
Yeah, as journalists, I think we have a lot to do. We have a lot to do because we are the eyes, we are the ears of the public. We are the ears, we are the eyes of those who are blind. We are still the eyes, we are still the ears of those who are still to come, who are still to be born, and those who are not informed. So we have to honor the legacy as journalists of the founding president by ensuring that we preach what he has been preaching. Unity, education, love for the country, and we have a lot to do as journalists, because it is only through us that our communities can make informed decisions by giving them the correct information, by giving them what government has done from the beginning, from the time before independence, after independence, after the likes of Sam Nujoma had taken over, the Pohamba, the Gengop, and the current president. We have to ensure that their legacy is taken forward by telling people, giving people the right information. We must not give up. We need to dig deeper to get information from wherever, from whichever sources, and then we disseminate that information to the larger community, not only Namibians, but Africa and the world at large.
Any final remarks this morning, colleague, before we let you go?
Well, thank you so much. The final remarks is that I think as a nation, instead of us mourning in a way that is disrespectful, we need to celebrate the life of this giant. We need to celebrate what he has achieved, what everyone has achieved, what we as the youth, women, and the learners in school, what they have achieved or what they are getting, the level at which life is, and the peace that has been here, including the reconciliation that he brought. So we need to embrace all these. We know there are different political parties, many political parties that have been formed, some are old, but we need to unite as a country, and we will differ in some of the ideas that we differ, but we are one people, and we need to maintain that one Namibia, one nation that was brought by the likes of Sam Nujoma and many others.
Lutumezi, colleague, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for the work that you continue to do in service of the Namibian nation.
Thank you.
Shangwe. There you have it, Katima Mulilo-based NBC reporter, Sililo Muviana, talking to us about the life and legacy of what he refers to as a giant, whose life he says we have to celebrate. The giant, of course, that he's referring to is the founding president and father of the Namibian nation, Dr. Sam Shafishuna Nujoma, who passed away in the Namibian capital this past Saturday at the age of 95. And you tuned into a special tribute broadcast paying homage to his life and to his legacy.
When the enemy advance, you retreat. When the enemy retire, you attack. This is precisely what we did.
First of all, there must be peace and stability. And this starts with the respect of our traditional leaders. And then all of our elders, and especially women, so that we are able to proceed with the peace and stability in our country. Our aim and objective for the SWAPO party is to ensure that we eradicate the poverty, disease, and the ignorance from the face of our country and that of the continent of Africa as a whole. Because we are members of the African Union, and we have to make a contribution with everything possible to ensure that there is peace and stability on the African continent. And there can be no peace if there is poverty. Well, I call upon all the Namibians to respect our elders, to respect His Excellency President Haki Geigo and all our ministers, and to ensure that peace and stability prevails in every age of the Republic of Namibia. Thank you.
Welcome back. You tuned into a special tribute broadcast as we commemorate the life and legacy of the founding president of Namibia. We now engage our colleague Dapanda Shuya to tell us more about what's happening on the ground. Good morning, colleague, and welcome to this special tribute broadcast.
Good morning, Denver. Good morning to our viewers at home. Today we find ourselves in the Oshana region, having spent most of the time yesterday in the Umsati region, still just trying to gauge the views of the public on the passing of the country's first president, and speaking to various people from all denominations, just to get their views on their thoughts, and for them to pay tribute. Those that we have spoken to have spoken highly of his sacrifices and his steadfastness in making critical decisions when times needed it the most. So yesterday, I can just reflect on yesterday. We spent most of the time in the Umsati region, Okahao, his town, because he's from Etunda village, which is just a stone throw from Okahao. Etunda village is also in the Okahao constituency district. So there we managed to speak to his neighbors, his childhood friends, who all had very good memories in paying tribute to the late Namibia hero. Now, what we picked up is that, yes, indeed, we are in a period of mourning, but we are also simultaneously saluting a fallen giant and just thanking or praising him for his selfless sacrifices. Mind you, most of the people that we spoke to, whether it's on the streets or at his homestead or at the church where he was a congregant, majority are saying they are happy that they had an opportunity to rub shoulders with former President Nujoma, saying that he's not the type that you would find there not greet the people on the street. He was very engaging. And always available to shake a hand or just say a simple hello. And whenever he went to his village of Etunda, his neighbors tell us that he would just be like an ordinary citizen. So it's not like when he's there, they are barred from getting in close proximity with him. So what we have also lined up for this afternoon is really to speak to various traditional leaders, knowing that the late Tatekulu Nujoma used to have very close relations with traditional authority leaders and was also a champion of cultural norms and values to be preserved for future generations. So we just want to gauge the views of some of the senior traditional leaders in the 4 northern regions, which we are covering, very Mswati, Oshana, Oshikoto, and Angwena regions, to gauge their views and for them just to pay tribute to the fallen hero. We have also lined up a couple of interviews with his former bodyguards that we are going to talk to. Remember, in 1990, the gentlemen that were just right behind him in most of the photos, going through to until he retired as a country's president. We'll be engaging everyone. We are actually concentrating on both the elites and also both community members as well as leaders to ensure that all the voices are heard in paying a befitting tribute to Namibia's liberation icon.
Thank you so much for that very comprehensive overview, colleague. Now, how would you describe the atmosphere at Etunda, and what is your key takeaway from having engaged some of his neighbors in his home village yesterday?
He was a very hard-working person. He would work the land. That's what we also gathered when we went to Etunda. Even when he aged, he made sure that he encouraged food production, and it's the same at his homestead, or at his parents' homestead. As we speak now, it rained, and I think the culture is maintained there as well, whereby their mahango field has been filtered already, ensuring that they contribute towards food security. So it's really the essence of hard work, contributing to food security, not just within our household, but also beyond, and also the spirit of giving. I remember the last interview that we did with him. I can't really recall the date, but it was in Oshakati, where he was meeting up with a businessman, a prominent businessman in northern Namibia that usually donates annually to his school of Etunda. During that time, he spoke highly about the importance of those that are able to assist children that are from less privileged or underprivileged families, to make sure that they go to school, go to university, and become breadwinners for their families.
Very well, colleague. Now, you touched on the close relationship that Dr. Nujoma had with the traditional leaders, but also with the church leaders. It is our understanding that you also attended a memorial service yesterday where he received special recognition. Tapanda, are you there?
Denver, I lost you on the question. Can you quickly just repeat it for me?
You spoke to us earlier about the close relationship that Dr. Nujoma had with the traditional leaders, but also with the church leaders. It is our understanding that you also attended a church service yesterday, where special mention was made of the late Dr. Nujoma.
Yes, indeed, Denver. I think that was the Okahao Elson Parish, where the president used to attend since his birth. Is where we made a first stop, where we found the church congregants already filling up the church, and the deputy chairperson of the parish council, Miss Elizabeth Ileka, was officiating the church ceremony or the church service in the absence of their pastor, who had already prior commitments elsewhere. But what we've also learned is that when we go to the church, they paid a moment of silence. They observed a moment of silence for the fallen liberation icon, and they described him as a very instrumental person in terms of ensuring that their church was uplifted, whether providing financial or just any other support that was needed. They also mentioned highly of the fact that former President Nujoma played an instrumental role in the building of the church that is very massive, and it has a capacity of close to over 1,000 people now as we speak. So he has been involved with the growth of the church, and they say that, yes, they are in mourning, but they are also celebrating a life well lived. The same sentiments then were echoed by Bishop Shangala, or former Bishop Shangala, who we met at the homestead also of the late president's parents at the Tunda village. He also took time to remember the late president during the mourning period that was observed at his homestead yesterday, where Tatekuru Shangala said he was a devoted Christian that would always, whenever he was free, considering his hectic time schedule, would always make time to visit the church, and not just Okahao Parish where he's originating from, but any other Elsin Parish churches across the country. He also spoke he also paid tribute to his friend. He says that he would usually support the Elsin denomination to ensure that the church was able to reach more people than what they would with the limited resources at their disposal.
Colleague, we appreciate your time. We appreciate your hard work. Any final thoughts before we let you go? You have such a comprehensive agenda waiting for you in the team.
Denver is really just to say that we are ready to ensure that we cover all the northern regions, that we give voices or give people an opportunity to air their voices both on radio and television in paying tribute to our fallen hero.
Tapandula Unene, colleague.
Thank you so much, Denver.
Oshana-based colleague Tapanda Shua, senior NBC reporter, talking to us about the situation on the ground and as far as it relates to the passing away of Namibia's founding president, Dr. Sam Shafishuna Nujoma, who passed away in the Namibian capital this past Saturday. Now, a colleague based in the Erongo region, Stefan Uirap, is on standby to engage the first citizen of the Erongo region, that's Governor Neville Andre, on his take on this national development. Colleague Stefan, it's over to you and the Governor.
On the nation's lost by the founding father or the founding president of Namibia. Good morning, Erongo Governor. Can you please share with us how did this news come to you or come to your doorstep?
Good morning, and thank you for having me on your program. Myself, I got this news when the President Nangolo Mbumba announced the death or the passing away of our founding president early hours of Sunday, 9th of February, and that is when I sort of followed the announcement on TV, and thereafter, of course, we have been seeing, sharing of messages through text and also social medias that people were also sharing this announcement, and also calls that have been coming through, and that is was a very shocking and also as a man that always had shown strength and resilience, he will come through this difficult, when he was in hospital. So it was really during that time that we received this sad news of the passing away of the founding president. So it was through that time.
Now, yesterday, as we were driving around, we have observed that the streets of Swakopmund and Walvisbay alike were very quiet. It seemed as if people have moved out of those two towns, and the towns were left as ghost town. How did the residents of Erongo region react to this news?
Yeah, like any other person in the Republic of Namibia, in Namibia, really this news was shocking. It was sad. It's just a sad news, and you could also observe a sober environment within Wafas and SWAPO in the region itself. Yesterday at the church services around town, you could hear the announcement and the moment of silence and respecting the passing away of our. This morning, you could also see again an announcement that has been making at the different schools, and moments of silence that have been observed. Also just in recognition and respect of our founding president, and the mood also around town at areas in town where people also, you see less movement. Those that had gatherings were not really in a good mood. They were really so it was really a quiet and a very shocking environment, mood by the people of the region, because of the importance that he has made in the contribution to the general Namibia, and also in particular person-to-person life in Namibia. So it was really a sad, sober mood that one could, is observing since yesterday in
Now, as you have already made it clear that it was a sober morning, Governor, many people knows him as, in their own words, some call him the fallen giant, some call him the liberation striker father. How did you know him personally, and how can you best describe him, and what were some of the encounters you had with him?
Yes. President of SWAPO Party, first President of the Republic of Namibia, and that is, how we have seen him. But of course, I had my first encounter with him in 2012 when I was President of NANSO, when we went to visit him at the founding president's office. I led a delegation of NANSO, of the leadership of NANSO, also just to share with him in terms of the activeness and the activities of NANSO, and also the General Student Council that we were organizing, because we were actually inviting him to officiate at the General Student Council. And at that meeting, there are really some of the things that we have engaged with, and some things that are really passionate to him is, for example, he encouraged us to speak or to share with the general students that the importance studies such as science and technology are very important, and we need to encourage that our young people must get into those studies so that they benefit to be in the value have, because we need to form part of the of the value chain of our natural resources. The other also is the importance of advancing female comrades into leadership positions, and I think there he also shared with us that it is important that first we must protect our females, and also ensure that they are advancing the leadership position, because of the respect and the importance that he has towards the female comrades. And then also one of the issues that he shared with us is to ensure that we have a protection towards kids. We must always at all times ensure that our kids are taken care of. So he shared which remember that discussion that we had. That visit that we had was about 2 hours visit that the NANSO leadership had with the founding president, and we were very much fortunate really to share those activities or those sharing moments. The other encounter that I had with him, of course, was after in official capacity as governor, he was. We are also very lucky as the region of Erongo. He was a resident of Erongo. He had a house in Handisby and also in Wafersby. So whenever he's here, we would also have that opportunity just to sit down and share with him. And he will also just always talk about the importance of our history and the importance of really making sure that our people, especially the Namibians, take center stage in the development of the country. I remember also 2 years ago, I accompanied late President Hage Geingob, the Speaker Kashavivi, and the former during December to the late founding president in Handisby, and I think it was also a very historical visit to me, because there was a time that because I had to go there, the late president, and wait for the late president, and I was in the room, just the two of us, and we engaged, and he was really also talking about the importance of our natural resources and the importance of making sure that we live together as Namibians, and so it was really some of those encounters that we had, and I think as a country we have seen the passionate leadership that he had in terms of ensuring that Namibia is advanced. And I think one of the issues that one can also remember is because of the liberation struggle, he led the liberation struggle, he sacrificed, Namibia or SWAPO party was the enemy to many and a friend to few, and he solicited that support to ensure that we are forging a better war against the imperialists in the country. And it was his leadership that really during that time that we could see made SWAPO and Namibia to be a friend to many, and that is one thing that one is remembering. And then, of course, at independence, as a first president, coming out a political instability and fightings and enemies of people within one country, he came up with, led the policy of national reconciliation to ensure that we build the country together, we move together as a country, and that was, I can imagine, was not really an easy thing, because issues of trust within the leadership and so on, he had to really be steadfast in ensuring that we all move together. And of course, the slogan of One Namibia, One Nation is one of those that really he was passionate about, and it's because he wanted to see people within the Namibian country to really see that they are part of it and they own the development of the country. And then also the other aspect that we also need to remember as we are mourning the death of our founding president is Vision 2030. It's for him to see that we need to build Namibia and to and advance Namibia as an industrialized country, which he really so much wished to see, and that is really also something that we have seen.
Well, Governor, is there any plans or programs for people to gather around certain areas in Swakopmund, Walvis Bay, and rest of the region, or will that be communicated later on?
Yes, because it's a national leader, is a hero of Namibia, is not only also important to Namibia but to Africa and also the world. So we need to give a befitting, farewell to our founding president, leader of the Namibian Revolution, and that I think as a region we have we surely have plans to put to give the respect to our founding president, but we are going to announce all those activities that we are planning to have, but we'll fairly share the information with the public in the whole region, but it's indeed in our plan.
Well, that's the governor of Erongo region sharing on how he felt when he was with the late founding president and some of the memories that he shared with us. Well, that's it from me, Stefan Irap, and the camera operator, Isto Shilongo. Over to you.
Okay, AOS colleague Stefan, that of course was our Swakopmund-based reporter, Stefan Irap, in conversation with the first citizen of the Erongo region, Governor Neville Andre, walking us through the life and legacy of the late Dr. Sam Shafishuna Nujoma. We'll return after a brief break.
It is my favor to believe that when people and nations are united, striving to achieve common good for all humanity, they will always emerge victorious.
Namibia is our God-gift country. We have no other one except Namibia, and we have to be there.
My dear wife, my dear children, my dear comrades, it is an honor for us to have this opportunity to meet. But an opportunity should always be for the future generation. We should not talk for our own interest. My interest, first and foremost, is the unity of SADC, Southern Africa Development Corporation, to become part of the African Union with the headquarters in Addis Ababa. This was formed by great leaders. Now, here in Namibia, we must play a role, very simple one, and that is God has given us this land. The harbor of Walvis Bay today, as we are sitting here, is the harbor of Sadak. Why? Because all the shipping line normally travel from the United States of America, Canada, and the whole of Europe. Normally pass through here, go to Cape Town to deliver goods for South Africa. But as we are talking here, oil that makes the ship to move become expensive. The harbor of Walvis Bay is today the harbor of Sadak and Africa as a whole. Now, it is therefore our duty and responsibility to make sure that every Namibia child attend the kindergarten, primary school, secondary school, and at the university level, in order for us to build a stronger nation. We believe that a united people striving to achieve a common good for all members of the society will always emerge victorious. I thank you.
Welcome back. It's 12:15 on this Monday. It is indeed the 10th day of February 2025. We are paying homage to the life and legacy of the late Dr. Sam Shafishuna Nujoma. We continue to reflect on that particular legacy, and in that regard, we're joined by Dr. Ben Molongeni, former member of the SWAPO think tank, for insights and reflections. Greetings, Doctor, and welcome to this special tribute broadcast. Dr. Molongeni, good afternoon. Greetings, Dr. Molongeni.
Hello? Hello?
Good afternoon, Doctor. Thank you so much for making time for us for this special tribute broadcast.
I can hardly hear you. Hello?
Dr. Molongeni, are you able to hear us now?
Please speak up, speak up.
We'll take a short break and try and establish that connection with Dr. Molongeni. Please stay tuned.
Every child must attend the school in the country, because education is the key to knowledge. This is the key to power. So therefore, every effort should be made by all Africans, those on the continent and those in the diaspora, to ensure that the future generation of the Africans are educated in different fields of economic endeavors. Our government have a policy on land redistribution to the entire population, irrespective of color or race or places of origin. The land belonged to the indigenous people. When white people came here, they came empty-handed. So the land belongs to us. I think Africa today is the richest continent on earth. We should strengthen the African Union more with a clear purpose of ensuring that in our lifetime, the United States of Africa will be implemented, where Africans will carry one passport with one president. Here in Namibia, we have the capacity to ensure that the peace and stability prevail in our country, and also to work hard to ensure that there is every Namibia child has food to eat and be able to go to school up to the university level. And that is the aim of the African Union, of course. Well, my message to the Namibian people is to remain united and maintain peace and stability and development. Because where there is no peace, there can be no development. So because I believe that a united people striving to achieve a common good for all members of the society will always emerge victorious. We must depend on our own resources on the continent.
During this brief period, since our independence, we have been able to ensure peace within our borders, create confidence about the future among all Namibians, and set an agenda for reconstruction and democracy. All of this we have been able to do in spite of the recent past in Namibia characterized by conflict and bloodletting.
The Republic of Namibia has adopted a policy of mixed economy. That means we encourage joint ventures with our government and private sector. I have already signed an agreement with the OPEC in Washington when I was here 3 months ago. And in that, in fact, there is a guarantee now of the U.S. corporates as well as private investors to come and invest in Namibia. So the reason why we have adopted a policy of mixed economy, this would encourage us to create job opportunities to our people as well as to develop our economy with the participation of the private sector from overseas as well as national business concern. It is very important to produce adequate food for the population because we cannot afford to import foodstuffs from other countries. And second is water and rural development. Our country is a very dry country. It's always affected by droughts, and therefore we have to develop
water canals and a pipeline from the Kunene and Zabizi rivers into the interior of the country.
Welcome back, Namibia. Good afternoon to you and yours. You tune into a very special tribute broadcast as we commemorate the life and legacy of the founding president and father of the Namibian nation, Dr. Sam Shafishuna Nujoma, who passed away in the Namibian capital, aged 95 this past Saturday. We now have the privilege of engaging a very special person who had unique insight into his thoughts and his vision. None other than the present-day Executive Director in the Ministry of Health and Social Services, Mr. Ben Nangombe, who at the time served as Dr. Nujoma's speech writer. Greetings, sir, and our sincere condolences to you.
Thank you very much, my brother. Condolences to you, to the rest of the nation during this dark hour in our country.
Let's start at the very beginning. When did your journey first cross with the late founding president?
Well, the name of Sam Nujoma is synonymous with the struggle for Namibia's freedom and independence. When we were growing up, it was the name of Sam Nujoma that we used to hear. When we were at school, becoming politically aware, it's the name of Sam Nujoma and his other comrades that we used to hear. I came to meet President Nujoma first in 1994. When I returned from school with my first degree, I joined government service in 1994 at the Ministry of Mines and Energy. And there was a meeting held at State House. The Minister of Mines and Energy at that time was Herman Andiba Toivo. So I was invited to that meeting, and that is when I met him for the first time. Then, in 1995, I joined the staff of State House while President Nujoma was president as policy analyst. And one of the jobs of policy analyst was to conduct research that went into the drafting of the president's speeches and statements. My supervisor at that time was Comrade Daniel Smith. So as the time went on, 1995, 1996, there was the Windhoek show. That time, the Windhoek agricultural show was a big thing, and the president actually went to address that. And at that occasion, I was given the full responsibility now to write his speech for that show. And that is the first one that I actually wrote for President Nujoma.
Was it a nerve-wracking experience for you?
It was quite a nerve-wracking experience. I still remember when the speech was finally done, I had to go to the president. It was on a Saturday. I was called from home Saturday afternoon. The president had gone through the statement. He had some points to add. And that is really where the journey started. And it went on until he then retired as president in 2005. and the experience was quite humbling in a way. President Nujoma is a man who was principled. You will remember that this was a transition from a liberation movement into a government. So the style and the expressions had to somewhat address the realities of the situation. As much as President Nujoma was a charismatic man, he was a principled man. For example, when we are writing his speeches and we are referring to, for example, freedom and independence, it's not only freedom and independence. You have to emphasize this genuine freedom and independence, because this is something he held dearly, and he felt that we did not only have paper freedom and independence, it must be genuine, felt by all Namibians, and having a meaning to all Namibians. So he was a unique individual. Yes.
You've touched on some of them, but which is your fondest memory of having worked alongside him?
There are so many, because there are occasions when you, for example, have to go on a mission outside Windhoek. I remember one specific moment, I think it was in 1997, we went to Midgard. And early in the morning, you all have to wake up, join him, and do a bit of mountain climbing, do a bit of jogging.
Under his leadership?
Yes, under his leadership. He would put on his sneakers, and you all have to wake up and go with him, and you do this physical exercise. And he was that kind of man. And in the mornings, you would also find him at the Old State House. He would be swimming, for example. He liked physical exercise. And that kind of inculcated also a sense of living a life of good health, a life of staying away from distractions, encouraging you not to indulge in alcohol and things like that. One thing, for example, if you are enjoying a refreshment with him, when he likes to eat his fruits, he likes to eat grapefruit. Grapefruit it's a bitter fruit, but for some reason he just liked it. And I also kind of grew a liking for grapefruit starting from there. So,
to this day?
Yeah, to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's a healthy lifestyle that he led. Of course, he experienced many hardships, having been in exile for many years, living a very uncomfortable life because, a life at the front line is not easy. But his perseverance, his dedication, his focus instilled those kind of values into all of us. And that is, to this day, we know that you cannot take half-cooked work to Sam Nujoma. When you are producing a piece of work for him, make sure you have done your homework, you have done your research to ensure that the product that you deliver is the highest quality that you can deliver.
Yeah. Hearing you say that he didn't entertain a half-cooked work, hearing you say how meticulous he was about you having to refer to the genuine freedom that the Namibian people attained on the 21st of March 1990, in fact, formally after lots of hard work. What went into doing research? What went into curating and crafting statements that at the end of the day also reflected his own visions, but certainly also his own personality in bringing that to life?
It depends on the context of each event. If, for example, the president was going to address a public gathering or he's going to inaugurate a project, whether it is it's a road that was being built, it's a health facility that was going to be inaugurated, or it's any other, it's a police office that's going to be built, you would have to interweave all these elements into that looking at issues of national development. Remember, President Nujoma conceived the National Development Plans, the NDPs. He conceived Vision 2030, where Namibia would be developed by its own natural resources. So all these issues, because President Nujoma had a long-term view, he knew exactly where he wanted to take the country. So the NDPs, the National Development Plans, spoke to the practical realities of the challenges that Namibia faced at that particular time. So when you were crafting a statement for President Nujoma, you have to make sure that the human touch is embedded in that. The practicalities of the challenges in a particular sector are well articulated. And that must also speak to both the short, the medium, and the long term. And that is how he projected himself. Remember, President Nujoma was very charismatic. And there were those times when, of course, he would prepare a statement and he would go and speak off the cuff because he had internalized the challenges that the country was facing. He understood very well what each community needed in terms of services. So curating a statement for Sam Nujoma, you needed to make sure that first, it is factual, it speaks to the challenges that are facing the people, it provides solutions also to the challenges that people are facing. So that is what it meant to actually produce statements like that, whether it is an independence celebration statement, for example. And he would narrate all these stories, historical events that shaped the journey towards Namibia's freedom and independence, Namibia's genuine freedom and independence. So when he spoke about Hosea Kutako and Hareja Pingana, he says if he knew this man, when he spoke about, for example, the December 10, the old location uprising, speaking about Kakurukade Mungunda, it's because he was there. He felt these issues. He lived them. And it's amazing, his sense of memory. And he would tell you, no, this didn't happen in that year. It happened in the other year. And you needed to contextualize everything. So that is what it felt like working for Sam Nujoma during that time.
I'm sure you'd be able to keep us busy with many anecdotes, Mr. Nankombe, for a couple of weeks. But the fact of the matter is, heading a country is no walk in the park. Exactly. As much as he did internalize the challenges that Namibia and her people were experiencing, one must still have the right rapport with the people, given the specific context. Was there a speech that was particularly difficult to craft? Was there an occasion that was quite challenging to find the words that were appropriate?
I think given the multitude of statements that have been produced for President Sam Nujoma, given the fact that we had challenges on various fronts during his presidency, I think one of the statements that was challenging was when Namibia was involved in the conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo. 1999. 1998, and the other one where we had to deal with the issue of the uprising in the Zambezi region. Speaking
around the same time, more or less.
Around the same time. Speaking to those issues, addressing the nation through the State of the Nation address, we had to provide the correct balance and the correct facts around these matters. And they were quite weighty matters in terms of articulating why Namibia did what we did, why it was important to defend the territorial integrity of our country and to maintain the cohesion of this republic. So some of those were quite weighty at that time, and we needed to find the correct wording, the correct phraseology for the president to communicate to the country in a manner that was well understood, in a manner that was cogent, in a manner that was reassuring, and in a manner that projected authority coming from the head of state dealing with a very important national matter.
Holding space for the country, a brand new democracy, given the country's past, with a very set vision for the future, was again no walk in the park, and certainly must have been a mammoth task. Against that backdrop, which are the themes that repeated themselves as far as his addresses were concerned?
I think you remember President Nujoma was fond of talking about fighting against ignorance. That was a major theme. He was fond of referring to the fact that we needed to be able to feed ourselves as a country. He was fond of talking about harnessing the resources of this country. Remember, President Nujoma also spearheaded the issue of aquaculture in this country, for example, where we needed to start producing fish for the people to eat. And he emphasized on fish because fish is a healthy food. So he emphasized on that. You remember there was a research facility at the Henry's Bay campus of the University of Namibia, where he was so much invested in that. And there was even a focus on the production of mushrooms, for example, again to supplement the diet. So the issues around food production, the issues around local manufacturing. Remember, the president also spearheaded issues surrounding the EPZ, the exclusive
processing zones,
economic zones. So those are the issues. And the idea was to say, if we were able to establish manufacturing entities in Namibia, where we are able to produce goods that we consume, so that we do what is called this import substitution. Those were some of the issues that he looked at. And then the question of unity. One Namibia, one nation. That, he believed, if we are going to talk about nation building, we have to bring everybody along. And that is why the president preached all the time about one Namibia, one nation, about unity, about the freedom, again, genuine freedom and independence that our country achieved in March 1990.
What you spoke about earlier, part of the assignment that Dr. Nujoma had was to hold space for the transition between a liberation movement to a government. How did his addresses, how did his speeches reflect that transition from the liberation struggle to a post-independence government?
Yeah, President Nujoma, as I said, was a man of principle. So he was very much conscious of the fact that that transition necessarily needed to take place. That the way he addressed, for example, international fora had to reflect the values of a new democracy. So again, the theme of national reconciliation is something that was very dear to the heart of President Nujoma. So he used the public fora when he addressed, whether it's domestic audiences, regional audiences, international audiences, to show that Namibia has indeed become a democracy after a protracted liberation struggle. But there is no way we could forget that which happened in the past, because it informed where we needed to go. It informed the trajectory of Namibia now as a member of the international community that needed to make that contribution to international discourse.
Since yesterday, we've been sharing some of his speeches with the Namibian people, with our viewers, but are there any notable quotes attributable to the late founding president of this republic that stand out for you specifically?
I think my first degree at the university was in political science and economics. And we study history. So if you look at the trajectory of Sam Nujoma as a leader of our revolution, one statement stands out. I cannot remember the exact date or event where this was articulated. But there is this statement that President Nujoma made that when the history of Namibia is written one day, it will show that SWAPO stood firm where others wavered. And that became the title of his book. And
the subsequent movie.
The subsequent movie. And I think that is a demonstration of this dedication, this focus, and this perseverance that characterized Sam Nujoma's life as a leader of the liberation movement, as a leader of a first president of a country. Remember, we had to start from scratch running a government. We did not have a template, but we managed. Sam Nujoma managed to lay the foundation upon which we are continuing to run the country. In the post-independence era, President Nujoma coined another statement. And again, it speaks to his belief that the government can actually do good, that it can serve the people. And he was fond of saying, you know, a united people striving for the good of all members of society will always emerge victorious. And that became his signature line also in his later political life. Again, indicating that through unity, we can do good. Through unity, we can achieve a mission. Through perseverance, we can emerge victorious. And he speaks to victory because, again, if you go back to his statements during the liberation struggle, he believed that we were going to defeat apartheid, we were going to become a nation, and that's exactly what happened. So that victory is not only a military victory, it has to be an economic victory, it has to be a social victory. It's a victory that encompasses all that we hold dear.
The fact of the matter also is that during his 15-year tenure, social media had not been the order of the day yet. However, journalists as human beings also make mistakes. And I would imagine that there were instances where he may have been misquoted. And you, having crafted the speech, would have picked it up.
Yes.
How did you, as a team, deal with reporters getting it wrong?
Yeah, we used to, as anybody would actually get agitated when things like that happen.
As a human response.
As a human response initially.
Yes.
There was a phenomenon around, again, 1998, 1999, going to 2000, of Ananias Mifitikeko. He was an anonymous writer who would write on political issues, on economic issues, and sometimes the content thereof, while it may contain some half-truths, it was designed in a manner that was seeking to kind of sow division and discord in society. So I remember one day we were engaging with President Nujoma on that matter, and his advice was, we shouldn't respond to that. We shouldn't respond at all. Let this thing just die its own natural death. We will not occupy ourselves with that. We must focus on what is important. So again, you could see the strategist in Sam Nujoma in so that you avoid unnecessary focus. And once you start addressing this matter, you actually breathe more life into it. So
and that becomes the preoccupation.
Yeah, it becomes a preoccupation. So other than focusing on something like that, you allow it to die a natural death. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah.
Speaking of which, to what extent did you get 50 A4 pages of instructions before you had to embark on the mission of research for a particular topic that would culminate in a speech for a specific engagement?
You see, we had a program you knew what the quarterly calendar of the president was.
Ordinarily.
Ordinarily, you would know. That time, I think Kakena Nangula was the special assistant to the president. Dr. Ndeutara Angolo was the permanent secretary, and I said Mr. Daniel Smith, Commander Daniel Smith, was the head of department of our department. So we knew the events that would come up. We knew that independence would come up. We knew that State of the Nation address would come up. We knew that August 26 would come up. So we already, at the technical level, would be gathering the data for the major statements like that, so that by the time the event rolls around, the president would have had the time to go through the draft statement, give his instructions, and then we refine further. And then we would go and go, he would go through it one time, second time, third time, until such time that he's comfortable with it and says, okay, I'm okay with it, and now we can finalize.
What do you remember most about Sam Nujoma?
What I remember about Sam Nujoma is a down-to-earth man. Sam Nujoma had a presence. When he entered into a room where people are, he had a presence. He was revered by many. Even when you travel with him, for example, you go to the Africa Union Summit, for example, or to a SADC Summit, he was revered as an extraordinary freedom fighter. So that presence that he had is something that is unforgettable. But again, it's also his focus, his dedication. When he puts his mind to something, he would strive to get it done. And that, it inculcates that kind of values into a person. By the time I joined the State House, I was a young, impressionable young man coming out of the university. And I was awed by this man because thing is, I went to study outside the country. So when 1990 came around, I was at the university outside the country. I couldn't afford to come home, so I did not participate in the independence elections. So when I came back home, it was still this feeling of awness about this leader who brought us independence. So, and when I started working with him, to see his humanity, to his humility, to his down-to-earthness, for example, you would go to Etunda, to his village home, and he made everybody feel comfortable. He always tried. Sam Nujoma would not allow anybody to go hungry if he always provided, and when you go to the village home, there were people there, they would be well fed. When you are traveling on a mission, he made sure that everybody is comfortable. So that kind of father figure caringness of him, I think is also what drew people to him, that drew so much respect and so much awe around Sam Nujoma as a human being.
It's one thing to invest in research. It's one thing to curate a speech that goes through a number of drafts and then executed in the manner that he had, even going off speech during some occasions. But it's something else to speak impromptu.
Yes.
What is it that stands out for you from some of his impromptu speeches?
I think Sam Nujoma was charismatic. So that charisma in knowledge, and as I indicated, Sam Nujoma would quote you the day, the time, and the place where something happened 50 years earlier. So he had that clarity of mind, that clarity of thought. And that is just, you would stand in awe when he would speak and narrate events as they unfolded, whether it's when he went to Egypt, for example, as a freedom fighter, when he went to Algeria, when he went to Tanganyika. All these memories came back vividly. And some of these things would come through when he speaks to people, and his passion. He was very passionate when he spoke, and you could tell that this is a man who believes in what he is saying, and he believes in the possibility of what can be done to make the world a better place, and what can be done to make Namibia a better place. And that is what exactly he has been striving for his entire life.
Any final thoughts before we let you go this afternoon, sir?
I think it's just to say that I heard somebody say, Sam Nujoma will not die. And that is an expression to say his memory will endure. His legacy will last for generations to come. And for that reason, the Namibian people, particularly the youth, are well advised to emulate his courage, to emulate his focus, to emulate his dedication, to emulate his perseverance, if we are to make Namibia a better place.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the great work that you continue to do to make Namibia a better place. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Denver. Likewise.
Thank you. At the moment, he's the Executive Director in the Ministry of Health and Social Services, but he just spoke to us about his time working in State House under the late Dr. Sam Shafishuna Nujoma, in that instance in his capacity as a policy analyst who had the responsibility of doing research and then assisting to craft and curate the speeches that were delivered by the founding president and the father of the Namibian nation. You are tuned into a very special tribute broadcast where we pay homage to the life and legacy of Dr. Nujoma, Namibia's founding president who passed away in the Namibian capital this past Saturday, aged 95. Welcome back, Namibia. This is a special broadcast paying homage to the life and legacy of the late Dr. Sam Shafishuna Nujoma, who passed away aged 95 in the Namibian capital this past Saturday. And we have been engaging many who have worked alongside him. We've also spoken to a couple of our colleagues across the length and breadth of this republic who have spoken to people from his home village, who have spoken to people on the ground, sharing their sentiments on the contribution that Dr. Nujoma has made to liberating this country and what happened post-independence. It's time for the news at 1, and at 2 o'clock we'll resume these special tribute broadcasts. Please keep it locked here on your home channel.
My dear wife, my dear children, my dear comrades, it is an honor for us to have this opportunity to meet. But an opportunity should always be for the future generation. We should not talk for our own interest. My interest, first and foremost, is the unity of SADC, Southern Africa Development Corporation, to become part of the African Union with the headquarters in Addis Ababa. This was formed by great leaders. Now, here in Namibia, we must play a role, very simple one, and that is God has given us this land. The harbor of Walvis Bay today, as we are sitting here, is the harbor of SADC. Why? Because all the shipping line normally travel from the United States of America, Canada, and the whole of Europe. Normally pass through here, go to Cape Town to deliver goods for South Africa. But as we are talking here, oil that makes the ship to move become expensive. The harbor of Walvis Bay is today the harbor of SADC and Africa as a whole. Now, it is therefore our duty and responsibility to make sure that every Namibia child attend the kindergarten, primary school, secondary school, and at the university level, in order for us to build a strong nation. We believe that a united people striving to achieve a common good for all members of the society will always emerge victorious. I thank you.
First of all, there must be peace and stability. And this starts with the respect of our traditional leaders. And then all our elders, and especially women, so that we are able to proceed with the peace and stability in our country. Our aim and objective of the SWAPO party is to ensure that we eradicate the poverty, disease, and the ignorance from the face of our country and that of the continent of Africa as a whole. Because we are members of the African Union, and we have to make a contribution with everything possible to ensure that there is peace and stability on the African continent. And there can be no peace if there is poverty. Well, I call upon all the Namibians to respect our elders, to respect His Excellency President Hage Geingob and all our ministers, and to ensure that peace and stability prevails in every age of the Republic of Namibia. I thank you.
When the enemy advance, you retreat. When the enemy retire, you attack. This is precisely what we did.
During this brief period, since our independence, we have been able to ensure peace within our borders, create confidence about the future among all Namibians, and set an agenda for reconstruction and democracy. All of this we have been able to do in spite of the recent past in Namibia characterized by conflict and bloodletting.
The Republic of Namibia has adopted a policy of mixed economy. That means we encourage joint ventures with our government and private sector. I have already signed an agreement with the OPEC in Washington when I was here 3 months ago. And in that, in fact, there is a guarantee now of the U.S. corporates as well as private investors to come and invest in Namibia. So the reason why we have adopted a policy of mixed economy, this would encourage us to create job opportunities to our people as well as to develop our economy with the participation of the private sector from overseas as well as national business concern. It is very important to produce adequate food for the population because we cannot afford to import foodstuffs from other countries. And second is water and rural development. Our country is a very dry country. It's always affected by droughts, and therefore we have to develop water canals and a pipeline from the Kunene and the Zambezi rivers into the interior of the country.
Very good afternoon and welcome to News at 1 on NBC. I'm Johnny Konja alongside Penafina Isis, your sign language interpreter for this afternoon. We are, of course, watching the news, and coming up, we, of course, take a look, of course, reflecting the life of Dr. Sam Nujoma. With the news of the death of the first president of Namibia, Dr. Sam Nujoma, NBC News team in the Ochodonjupa region spoke to the governor and some community members on his legacy and the memories they hold of him. Faith Sankwasa now joins us telephonically for an update. A very good afternoon to you, Faith. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon, John. Good afternoon, everyone.
Absolutely. Give us a bit of a look into what the situations are currently in terms of the community members you also spoke to on the death of the first president, Dr. Sam Nujoma.
Yes. Today is quite a bit of a slow day. It's quiet, like a normal day out in the region. We are yet to get informed by the regional leaders about how the region is going to commemorate or, have vigils for the founding president. However, yesterday we did speak with the governor in an interview with him where he passed on the regional condolences to the Nujoma family on the passing of the founding president. Candidly, he also spoke about how the Nujoma belongs to the region because he did have a farm here, at Tunda, where he also set up development there. And so much that he also took note of the deconstruction of a school there and said that this is where Nuyoma's passion lied, to have a Namibian child educated. This also then goes to say that he also funded the bursary schemes that helped Namibians also go through to higher tertiary levels to get educated. The governor also then said that Nujoma empowered the nation through education, and then he was all of the thing that he didn't want a nation that is oppressed, and that he continued to inspire generations even when he retired.
Very well. Faith, thank you so much for that update. We'll continue to speak to you, of course, as developments, of course, arise in that area. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, John.
Faith Sankwasa is, of course, our reporter who is in the Northern Juba covering, of course, the memories that the late first president has left in that area. Moving on to more news, the city of Windhoek has expressed a deep sorrow following the death of Namibia's founding president, Dr. Sam Safishuna Nujoma, joining the nation in mourning for a leader whose vision shaped the country's independence and development.
In a statement, the city hailed Dr. Nujoma as a revered statesman and a visionary leader whose unwavering dedication to the liberation of Namibia laid the foundation for a democratic and prosperous Namibia. His legacy, deeply rooted in the nation's history, continues to inspire unity and progress. The city of Windhoek said Nujoma has immensely contributed to the development of Windhoek and the country. The statement says his vision for national growth and his tireless efforts to uplift all Namibians will never be forgotten. The city, on behalf of its leadership, employees and residents, extended heartfelt condolences to the Nujoma and the Kondombolo family, the state and all citizens. Johanna Urikos, NBC News, Windhoek.
Founding President Sam Nujoma has been described as a national hero who throughout his political career was always one to cherish peace.
The common portrayal of the late founding president among some leaders in Katima Mulilo who sent messages of condolences to the Nujoma family and the Namibian nation on Sunday. The Katima Mulilo Town Council's chief executive officer said that the founding president leaves a legacy that will continue to be cherished and respected for years to come.
Has led this country from exile until its independence and became the first president of the Republic of Namibia, which by then we were young. And he has mentored us to believe in ourselves and believe in the peace that Namibia is going to enjoy. He always used to tell us that we must not waste the peace that has been brought by those who shed the blood. And he used to say, for those who have not seen peace, or for those who have been in war, they love peace. But for those who have never tasted war, they don't love peace. So with those words, we will remember him. And I wish to send our message of condolences on behalf of the residents of Katima Mulilo, including Katima Mulilo Town Council.
The SWAPO Party District Mobilizer for Katima Urban, Nsala Muhongo, recalled the founding president's major role in leading the country to independence.
It's a painful day because some of us, we grew up without parents and we could not even dream one day we will see our parents. But through his visionary leadership and a brave advocate, I may put it, indeed he was. We saw our parents. So to the Namibian people, we have lost. We have lost. And I may say February month, it's a good but not good to the Namibian nation. And to the family, they shouldn't feel that they are alone. We are together. We are mourning together.
The former mayor of Katima Mulilo, Charles Matengu, praised the late Nujoma while remembering him as the last remaining among founding leaders who fought for independence across Africa. Matengu also noted how Nujoma was honored by the town while he was still alive.
Comrade Nujoma was a revolutionary of note. I think when you talk of Namibia, there is no way you can talk of Namibia minus Nujoma. So for us, this independence we are enjoying was at the forefront with others. Like I said, it was part of the bigger leaders like the Kaundas. I think it was the last one remaining. So in simple, for us, we just remember him as a great, great revolutionary. And after independence, a very, very strong leader. Whoever, when he took a decision, he stood by it. I think during my tenure as mayor, that's why we named him. There's a street just across, I think, called Sam Nujoma Drive. At the whole.
Still watching the news on NBC. We return after a brief break.
When the enemy advance, you retreat. When the enemy retire, you attack. This is precisely what we did.
First of all, there must be peace and stability. And this starts with the respect of our traditional leaders. And then all of our elders, and especially women, so that we are able to proceed with the peace and stability in our country. Our aim and objective for the SWAPO party is to ensure that we eradicate the poverty, disease, and the ignorance from the face of our country and that of the continent of Africa as a whole. Because we are members of the African Union, and we have to make a contribution with everything possible to ensure that there is peace and stability on the African continent. And there can be no peace if there is poverty. Well, I call upon all the Namibians to respect our elders, to respect His Excellency President Haki Geingob and all our ministers, and to ensure that peace and stability prevails in every age of the Republic of Namibia. Thank you.
Welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us. Erongo Governor Neville Andre has extended condolences on behalf of the residents and leadership of Erongo to the founding First Lady Ovamboland Nujoma, the family and the entire Namibian nation in the wake of the passing of Dr. Sam Nujoma. Governor Andre acknowledged Dr. Nujoma as a pivotal figure in Namibia's liberation struggle against apartheid South Africa, describing his death as a profound loss not only for Namibia but for Africa and the world at large. He stated that the legacy of Dr. Nujoma lives on and his cherished memory will continue to unite Namibians. His love for his country will shine forever.
Of the residents of Erongo, the leadership of Erongo, and the entire people of the Erongo region, I want to convey our deepest condolences to the founding First Lady Nekulu Ovamboland Nujoma, the Honorable Tony Nujoma and his siblings, the entire family, and the Namibian nation. The passing of Dr. Sam Nujoma, Namibia's founding president and a central figure in our liberation struggle against apartheid South Africa, is a great loss
for Africa and the world. His legacy lives on, and his cherished memory will continue to unite Namibia. His love for his country will shine forever. A great hero never dies. The remarkable legacy of this true hero is reflected in these words that will never fade in the hearts of those who love Namibia, and I quote, "One Namibia, one nation, a people united, striving to achieve a common good for all its members of society will always emerge victorious." As we mourn the death of our founding president, let us remember his immense contribution to the country, to Africa, and the world at large. With this passing of our founding father, we have lost a highly esteemed and deeply respected leader who achieved great things for Namibia, its people, and the world. May the soul of the great hero rest in eternal peace. He was truly a blessing to Namibian nation, and he has fulfilled his mission. We are all grateful of his contribution to Namibia. Peace be with us as the Namibian nation and the bereaved family during this difficult time. And let us remain united as we are mourning the death of a hero and icon of Africa. May his soul rest in peace. Thank you.
The SWAPO party coordinator for the Erongo region, Daniel Muhura, has expressed his condolences on behalf of the party members to the family of the late founding president, Dr. Sam Nujoma. Muhura acknowledged Dr. Nuyoma's tireless dedication to Namibia's struggle for liberation, stating Dr. Nujoma fought the good fight for the nation's liberation and has won it. He highlighted the significant contributions Dr. Nujoma made in securing the nation's independence and shaping the future of Namibia.
Was a combination of all the Namibian people, not only the people of SWAPO party or members of SWAPO party, but it was a combination of all the Namibian people. That is how he spearheaded or advocated for unity in this country. The peace and stability that we all are enjoying today, that was because of his declaration of the national reconciliation. That is why you, as journalists, today, you are interviewing the regional coordinator of SWAPO party without any threat, without any hindrance. You are very comfortably here. That is the peace and stability that we are enjoying today under the leadership of His Excellency, our departed President, Comrade Dr. Sam Nujoma. I think that he has fought a good fight, and he won a fight with a distinction. He has accomplished the mission on Mother Earth. What else can we expect from him if we cannot say you have done what you could have done? You have left the nation in good hands. We are still enjoying peace and stability in this country. Comrade Sam Nujoma deserves to rest in eternal peace. I would like to extend my heartfelt condolences to Mama Ovamboland, Bushe Wanje, Comrade Utoni, Daniel Nujoma, and siblings. The SWAPO party as a party and members, rank and file bona fide members of the SWAPO party, I would also like to extend my sincere condolences to the Namibian nation, the continent of Africa, and the world at large. Go well, the son of the soil. Go well, the first president of the former liberation movement SWAPO party. Go well, the founding president of the Republic of Namibia. Go well, the father of the Namibian nation. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
We'll take another brief break and bring you more news right after that.
During this brief period, since our independence, we have been able to ensure peace within our borders, create confidence about the future among all Namibians, and set an agenda for reconstruction and democracy. All of this we have been able to do in spite of the recent past in Namibia characterized by conflict and bloodletting.
The Republic of Namibia has adopted a policy of mixed economy. That means we encourage joint ventures with our government and private sector. I have already signed an agreement with the OPEC in Washington when I was here 3 months ago. And in that, in fact, there is a guarantee now of the U.S. corporates as well as private investors to come and invest in Namibia. So the reason why we have adopted a policy of mixed economy, this would encourage us to create job opportunities to our people as well as to develop our economy with the participation of the private sector from overseas as well as national business concern. It is very important to produce adequate food for the population because we cannot afford to import foodstuffs from other countries. And second is water and rural development. Our country is a very dry country. It's always affected by droughts, and therefore we have to develop water canals and a pipeline from the Kunene and Zambezi rivers into the interior of the country.
Welcome back. The Musati region is mourning its son of the soil, the late President Sam Nujoma. Young and old, traditional and politicians, as well as church leaders and their congregations are paying their respects in remembrance of Nujoma at his parents' homestead of Etunda. Our reporter Ndapanda Shuya and cameraman Simon Nyman was in Okahau and compiled this insert.
He is our first president, and we have so much love and respect for him as we mourn his passing. We must mourn and should do it with praises, because our leader lived an exemplary life, and he has done so much for all of us. May he rest in peace.
Fellow congregants, we should accept the departure of our beloved leader and one of the members of this church. This is where his assignment ends. as it was set by God. Let's praise him for his contributions to Namibia.
With the passing of Dr. Sam Shafishuna Nujoma on February 8, 2025, Africa bids farewell to its last surviving founding father of the Organization of African Unity as the first president of Namibia from 1990 to 2005 and the leader of the country's independence struggle. Nujoma's death marks the end of an era of independence freedom fighters who helped shape modern Africa.
Nujoma stood among Africa's greatest liberation leaders, joining the ranks of Kwame Nkrumah, the first president of Ghana, Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya, and Ahmed Sékou Touré of Guinea, among others, who led their nations to independence and established systems of governance. His leadership not only freed Namibia from South African rule in 1990, but also set a foundation for a stable democracy. For over 40 years, he guided SWAPO through the liberation war, diplomacy, and political transformation, ultimately handing over power peacefully to his successor, Hifikepunye Pohamba, in 2005.
I move in the name of our people to declare that Namibia is forever free, sovereign, and independent. I thank you.
As Africa reflects on its post-colonial journey, Nujoma's legacy endures as a symbol of resilience, unity, and the unwavering fight for sovereignty. Johanna Urikos, NBC News, Windhoek.
The SWAPO Party Politburo and a Central Committee member, Steve Census Ovamboland, has called on the nation to be in mourning following the passing of founding President Dr. Sam Nujoma. Speaking on the passing of Dr. Nujoma, whom he described as the architect of the liberation struggle that led to the independence of Namibia, Ovamboland said Namibians should remember the liberation stalwart as a unifier.
Dear mourners and the entire nation, Namibia, it is well known by this time around that we have lost our hero, the technocrat, should I say, of this liberation struggle that we are enjoying today. A person that was an architect, a person that has walked all around the world to ensure that this country become independent. I should say, as we are mourning the death of a hero, we are given a message that we must unite, and unite for the purpose of having that prosperity. Our leader has passed on, and this is the person that can never be forgotten in Namibia. Namibian history can be never complete without his name. And I am so fortunate to be part of the ruling party and part of the steering committee of the ruling party today, enjoying the legacies while he was alive. Comrade Nujoma is one of the outstanding leaders of the world, and in particular in the African soil. Comrade Nujoma is one of the persons, and I must say, who took a very shorter period of time to wage his liberation struggle, which is not undermining the other liberation struggles, but he has started an organization, and he has even waged the victory and become the first president of the Republic of Namibia. I was always saying, if a person of grade 8, standard 6 that time, can be having such a wonderful wisdom to wage a liberation struggle and then linked up to the international world for freedom, that person is a Moses for Namibia. He is our Moses, the person who have led the nation to the promised land. It's in human nature that some of us don't appreciate what he has done. But from the Xaras region in particular, in South, we have witnessed that such a son of the soil has united people across the tribal lines, across political lines, and that we can also witness today that Namibia is one of the countries that enjoy peace, stability. And I'm praying the Lord that his soul be abundantly showered and that his soul remain always a memory for us to be united. Let Namibia unite, and at least at this point in time, where we are almost completing a calendar year while we are mourning the death of our third president, we are losing our founding father. Let this become the signs that Namibia must go back and do introspections. Why in February? And almost 5 days in a full calendar year, we lost the third president. So we must put together the puzzles to know what is the message. Namibia must unite. Namibia must unite.
Scores of mourners made their way to the Nujoma family residence to pay their last respects to the fallen founding president, Sam Nujoma. The book of condolence has been opened at the residence. NBC's Blanche Goris spoke to some mourners at the residence this afternoon. Let's take a look.
We want to assure his spirit that we are going to take up the challenge where he ended, up to where we are also going to end. He was always reminding us that he believed in human evolution, and this is a reality now. You see, now we are here without him. We are remembering him. He has many stories that we can tell the Namibian people.
It is a big loss to the country as a whole. Be the father of the Namibian revolution, the founding father of our country, as well as the SWAPO party. We feel the loss. It is quite a huge loss, but the best we can do is to keep strong, celebrate his life, celebrate the legacy that he has left. He has laid the foundation, and we are going to build on that foundation.
I think you need to take it into consideration then when I stood initially as an independent presidential candidate, you have not seen a single pointing finger from His Excellency, our departed beloved president at all, to say Itula or anything. And when we formed the IPC as well, you did not hear any condemnation whatsoever. And that is a signal from the founding father that he embraced the right of all citizens to political activities. And that's extremely significant. To make sure that we may have differences, but we are living in the same country. To make sure that that harmony continues, that peace continues. And this is incredibly significant to understand that after 35 years of founding our republic, led by him.
As much as we regret his passing, we know that he left for us many things, including the Constitution, which was adopted on this day, the 9th of February, 1990. He left
independence, a stable government, a peaceful nation. And for that, we thank you.
Late President Nujoma has a genuine passion for Namibia. And during the struggle, his voice was our motivators. Because when he speaks, when you go to a parade where it's addressed by President Nujoma, you feel enlightened. You feel that the independence is tomorrow. And every time when we are at the parade, he tells you the independence is around the corner. It's a matter of day.
So no surrender.
And that kept us our motivating factors.
That was our reporter Blanche Goresis bringing us that story from the Nujoma residence here in the capital of Windhoek. More news coming up after a short break. Stay tuned.
When the enemy advance, you retreat. When the enemy retire, you attack. This is precisely what we did.
First of all, there must be peace and stability. And this starts with the respect of our traditional leaders. And then all of our elders, and especially women, so that we are able to proceed with the peace and stability in our country. Our aim and objective for the SWAPO party is to ensure that we eradicate the poverty, disease, and the ignorance from the face of our country and that of the continent of Africa as a whole. Because we are members of the African Union, and we have to make a contribution with everything possible to ensure that there is peace and stability on the African continent. And there can be no peace if there is poverty. Well, I call upon all the Namibians to respect our elders, to respect His Excellency President Haki Geingob and all our ministers, and to ensure that peace and stability prevails in every age of the Republic of Namibia. I thank you.
My dear wife, my dear children, my dear comrades, it is an honor for us to have this opportunity to meet. But an opportunity should always be for the future generation. We should not talk for our own interest. My interest, first and foremost, is the unity of SADC, Southern Africa Development Corporation, to become part of the African Union with the headquarters in Addis Ababa. This was formed by great leaders. Now, here in Namibia, we must play a role, very simple one, and that is God has given us this land. The harbor of Walvis Bay today, is we are sitting here, is the harbor of Sadak. Why? Because all the shipping line normally travel from the United States of America, Canada, and the whole of Europe. Normally pass through here, go to Cape Town to deliver goods for South Africa. But as we are talking here, oil that makes the ship to move become expensive. The harbor of Walvis Bay is today the harbor of SADC and Africa as a whole. Now, it is therefore our duty and responsibility to make sure that every Namibia child attend the kindergarten, primary school, secondary school, and at the university level, in order for us to build a stronger nation. We believe that a united people striving to achieve common good for all members of the society will always emerge victorious. I thank you.
Welcome back. You're still watching the news on NBC and now taking a look at news from beyond our borders. Zambian President Hakainde Hichilema says he is deeply saddened by the death of Namibia's founding president Sam Nujoma. Zambia's ruling party, the United Party for National Development, UPND, has sent a message of condolence to the SWAPO party and Namibia at large. NBC Zambian correspondent Wamdila Chilinda now files this report from the capital, Lusaka.
This is what remains of a seemingly dungeon that played host to the founding president, Dr. Sam Nujoma, when he came to Zambia in 1970. His mission was to disseminate a clear message of liberation of the people of Namibia. This premise was offered to him by his close friend, the late Mr. Jere, who he had earlier met in Tanzania.
Okay, from my collection of the events, I gather that since my father was working in Tanzania, that was mid-60s. From what I gathered, I wasn't born by then, but I gathered that they met from there, according to the information I have from our mother. They met from there, and then at a certain point when Zambia got independent, father migrated back to Zambia, to Lusaka, where he got a job as the general manager of the Central Bank of Zambia. So from there, Sam Nujoma and other of his colleagues, Peter Nanyemba and them, they met again in Lusaka, and they continued their friendship. And he helped them in a way that they would come to our house, and confide in him in their struggle. And we had a farm in Chukupi, which is Bonaventure Road, about 10 kilometers out of Lusaka Central Business Area, about 20-hectare farm there, where he allowed them to get accommodated there. The freedom fighters were camping there.
This is where the young man, Nujoma, and his a few friends decided to leave Namibia, to come to Zambia and find protection from those Boers who were oppressing the people. And the only way he could, during that time, speak to the world was through the Zambia news agency, ZANA, where I happened to be a reporter. He could come to the office and give us very long interviews, how he looked at the future of Namibia, how he thought the people of Namibia were being oppressed, and him and as a young man and others and his colleagues could not sit back and see how that country was being oppressed by the Boers. So the news he gave us was exchanged with other news agencies.
And this is what used to be Longondola, a recreational facility that also played host to some of the meetings that President Nujoma and other liberation icons used for meetings. For Zambia's ruling party, the demise of Dr. Nujoma is not only for Namibia.
Today is a sad day for the passing of that great man. The late Sam Nujoma was revolutionary. I first knew of Nujoma when Taivo Dachaivo was arrested in South Africa. I heard from Radio RSA of that arrest and the emergency of Sam Nujoma. It needed a man of Sam Nujoma's character to stand the pressure, because the South African government or other country was well equipped. One would say it was the strongest African country at the time. But for SWAPO under Sam Nujoma to take on such a mighty country, which had nuclear bombs at the time, and defeated those people, actually points to the character of the passing giant.
Dr. Sam Nujoma has been described as a no ordinary person. Zambian President Hakainde Hichilema has posted a message of condolence on X and is expected to issue another official statement soon.
President Cyril Ramaphosa has sent his message of condolences to the people of Namibia on the passing of former President Sam Nujoma. SABC reports.
In a statement, President Ramaphosa said that as neighbors and compatriots, South Africa is united in grief with Namibians who have lost the leader of the Namibian revolution. He added that Nujoma is inseparable from South Africa's history of struggle and liberation. He further stated that Nujoma was an extraordinary freedom fighter who divided his revolutionary program between Namibia's own struggle against South African colonialism and the liberation of South Africa from apartheid. Now, President Ramaphosa said Namibia's attainment of independence from South Africa in 1990 ignited liberation fighters to fight for freedom in the country.
On to sport matters, the news of the passing of Namibia's founding president, Dr. Sam Nujoma, has touched many sectors, and the sporting fraternity has not been spared, with tributes pouring in from all parts of the world. Let's take a look at some of them.
Sports will keep young people away from destructive behavior and activities such as committing crimes and excessive consumption of alcohol and drug abuse. Sports keeps a person physically and mentally fit, and thereby reducing illness and enhancing productivity among our people.
Not only is a football stadium and a marathon named after him, but he was also a dedicated boxing fan. It was customary for boxers to present their belts, which they won abroad, to him. The Deputy Minister of Sport, Youth and National Service, Dr. Emma Kantema Gaumas, shared her heartfelt condolences and reflected on what the late founding father meant to the sporting fraternity.
As a sports fraternity, we are immensely grateful for the way that our founding father have paved for us to enjoy what we are enjoying today. When you look at what contribution the founding father has done, especially to the sports fraternity, after gaining independence, that was the only time that we could participate under the flag. So when we talk about independence, when we talk about the fruits that we enjoyed, that culminated as a result of the sacrifices that our founding father, His Excellency Dr. Sam Sapishuna Nujoma, has made, together with the other fallen heroes, we do not take this for granted.
Currently in the United States, athlete coach Hank Botha also expressed his heartfelt condolences to the family and the nation at large.
What a wonderful man our founding father, Dr. Sam Nujoma, was, and what an inspirational person he was. He always teased me and said, we must do more to get the Afrikaner dances, traditional dances, back in our country. Dr. Nujoma, you will be missed. But the legacy that you left in this world, not only in Namibia, but throughout Africa and the world, will never be not seen. You have changed so much in this world. Thank you for what you've done, and rest in peace, and my condolences to the family member.
Namibia's Prince star, Christine Boma, has also been appointed as a Goodwill Ambassador for the Sam Nujoma Foundation. Also sharing his tribute is the President of the Namibia Rugby Union, Pietri Teron, who is currently abroad.
On behalf of the Namibia Rugby Union, we would like to extend our condolences to the family of Dr. Nujoma, who has passed away. He has left his mark on our country, on our people, and on the world, and it will be sadly missed.
Former Brave Warriors coach Tom Seinfeld, who's based in Belgium, also shared his condolences to the Namibian nation.
And when you wake up and then the founding father of the country is not anymore there, it's very, very shocking and very disappointing, naturally. On the other side, I think he will stay with us all forever. His role for the country, his role for Africa will never be forgotten. And from Belgium right now, I'm in Belgium, I would like to send my condolences to his family, to his loved ones, and to the whole country.
The final bell has rung, not for a fighter in the ring, but for a warrior of a nation. Namibian boxing joins the country in mourning the passing of our founding father, His Excellency Dr. Sam Sapishuna Nujoma, a true champion who never stepped into the ring but fought the greatest battle of all, the fight for our freedom. His unwavering support for sport, his belief in discipline and perseverance, and his vision for a thriving Namibia continue to inspire generations of athletes. Today, the boxing community throws no punches, only heartfelt tributes, sharing personal stories of how he shaped not just the sport, but the spirit of a nation.
Dr. Sam Sapishuna Nujoma.
How did I find out? It's actually through WhatsApp status. You see, I just saw people posting, and then I'm like, what? And then, of course, I call a few friends, and I also call one of my cousins that actually used to work at the founding father's office. And then she used also to work at the farm. So just to confirm before I start believing. And then she said, yeah, it's true. He actually just opened the doors for all the industry in the country, sport, business, and in particular sport. He actually taught us how to fight and how to make sure that you can always fight even when things are not easy. How actually we get the independence, that's how we get our success. And him being our founding father and the leader of this country, he really set a foundation whereby people can learn that if you want something, you have to work for it. And that is one of the strongest. And he said, Namibia, we fight for it. Even every time we watch in his clips, you can always see the confidence he has when he speaks. That's what you cannot defeat, and that is the type of confidence that he left in us.
For myself, to put my name in the world map was only through boxing. And of course, that's a big platform, So, he saw his elder and he said, our leader, but he respected me also. And that's why he was always appreciating me what I'm doing, and I was appreciating what he did for us, because before independence, we could not participate in Olympic Games, we could not go to World Championship, we could not do international fights, and of course, you know, in Namibia there was no professional boxing and so on. So also, if I need help to talk to someone, maybe to talk to a certain minister, or to talk to certain organization and so on, yeah, so I used also to get advice from him, you know. So I benefit also from him personally, you know, because like I say, he was a man of the people. So the people is us, you know.
You know, we just have to remain calm and of course believe, and we give everything in God's hands. And Namibia is blessed, and of course the founding father, the foundation he raised for us, that's actually what we have to follow in his footsteps and be a good leader in whatever we do and make sure that we deliver what he always said. Well, let's put Namibia first, and he did that, and that's actually what we're supposed to do.
Unity is very important. Let's be united. Let's say people united remain victorious.
I, Sam Nujoma, do hereby swear that I will strive to the best of my ability to uphold, protect, and defend as the supreme law the Constitution of the Republic of Namibia. That I will protect the independent sovereignty, territorial integrity, and the material and the spiritual resources of the Republic of Namibia.
Good day and welcome. Heavy forces are spread over the northern regions. We are expecting some flash floods then from tomorrow evening. Let's have a look at the rainfall figures. Katima Mlilo 23, Caprivi Roach 22 millimeters, Windhoek 17, Otavi ADC 11, Deep River 4.7, Omateva 2.5, and Claratal 1.2. Should expect then with the thunderstorms then already setting in over the parts of Angola then. Should expect this drift over the interior then. By today, we are expecting some thunderstorms. The focus in detail, hot to very hot conditions are expected in general over the interior, with some cloudy conditions over the north, central, and east. We are expecting some thunder showers. Over the extreme south, Karasberg there, about a few clouds expected there. Along the coast, we also expect some few clouds. Temperatures, we should expect very hot conditions still over the southern part of the country there. Marinta 36, Kermanso 37. Windhoek 32 degrees Celsius in the north, in the range of 32 going up to 36 degrees Celsius. Along the coast, warmer temperatures over Walvis Bay 28, hot conditions in Lutherets today about 30 degrees Celsius. That's all from us. Goodbye.
Thank you so much, Odilo. That is also it for the news for now. But of course, more news to follow during the course of the day. The rolling broadcast of the broadcast of the program in honor of Dr. Sam Nujoma, the late president, will of course continue on NBC, as well as Iron Sadek right here on NBC. Stay tuned for more.